It's been a rough decade for the Phoenix Suns.
Well, over the last few years, we've been giving Devin Booker a lot of crap. We've been saying, I've even made videos about Devin Booker myself, about saying, man, he's in a, not a good situation right now with the Phoenix Suns, and that the Phoenix Suns, they're not really going to go anywhere anytime soon. But they did have, a pretty bright future with some of the players who they did have on their roster. But still, at the time, only time would still tell on how good that Phoenix Suns team would be, because, well, Devin Booker was still showing why he can be considered an all-star caliber player. I mean, he's had really good seasons over his NBA career. Right now, looking at his career in general, he has numbers that can put him in the Hall of Fame. But many of us were thinking, man, Devin Booker might just end up another really good player on a team that is just not going to go anywhere. And he's just going to waste his prime on a team that is losing and that will just continuously be bad, because, well, we all know the owner has had a pretty bad reputation over the years, as well as being really cheap, trading away picks and players for cash. And the Phoenix Suns from 2015 to 2019 did not win over 25 games one time. And they've had a lot of high lottery picks, and some of them aren't even on the team anymore. The Phoenix Suns were literally a laughingstock over the course of this last decade of basketball. The only good season that this team had was the 2013-14 NBA season, where they won 48 games, but still only finished around 9th or 10th in the Western Conference. Going to last season, the Phoenix Suns really did have a really solid overall season. First off, really one of the main changes of this team, what happened was hiring James Jones as the new general manager of the Phoenix Suns. James Jones has definitely changed the entire culture of this Phoenix Suns team. When he was first signed to the team, he immediately fired their previous head coach, Igor Koskov, if I pronounced that correctly, and he replaced him with a great coach in Monty Williams. He also traded for Dario Saric, who's a really good player, and Cameron Johnson, and both of those guys are really good role players for this Phoenix Suns team to this day. He even traded away TJ Warren at the time. He even signed Ricky Rubio that last season as well, and this Phoenix Suns team eventually won 39 games, including, of course, going 8-0 in the bubble. But the job wasn't done yet. The Phoenix Suns still were progressing. And coming off that momentum that they had last season, the Phoenix Suns were able to acquire Chris Paul in a trade. And that Phoenix Suns team, that younger team with Kelly Oubre as well in the roster, they were a really good, solid team. But in order for this Phoenix Suns team to really take a new level, they were going to have to trade for Chris Paul. And Chris Paul was just carrying the Oklahoma City Thunder to a playoff spot, and he helped that team really transform in that season. And now the Thunder have a pretty bright future ahead of them with the talent that they have on the roster. But now that the Suns have Chris Paul, everything changed for this team. And well, for Devin Booker, everything completely changed for himself either, because bringing in Chris Paul, you're bringing a veteran, a guy who has plenty of experience, who going in constant battles in the playoffs, and having much success throughout his NBA career. And now having him by your side in the backcourt made this Phoenix Suns team go to an entirely new level. Already with the young talent what they had on their roster, with the Phoenix Suns were able to take new heights this season. And it's crazy enough to say now that the Phoenix Suns are in the playoffs. But not only in the playoffs, they're in the Western Conference Finals. As a matter of fact, the last time the Phoenix Suns even made it to the playoffs was back in the 2009-2010 season, when they had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire still as their top players on the roster. But now the Phoenix Suns look like an entirely new team. They've definitely just quickly changed. This wasn't like a consistent build-up for the Phoenix Suns. They quickly made moves to acquire Chris Paul, a guy who they definitely needed on this team to really take their team to an entirely new level. And for Devin Booker this season alone, he's definitely played like the best player, though, still on this Phoenix Suns team. Yes, Chris Paul, give him all the credit. He definitely changed the culture. He changed everything about the Phoenix Suns team, but the future of this team is with the leadership of Devin Booker. Devin Booker in this playoffs has consistently shown that he's more than capable. Even in his first time being in the playoffs, he's well more than capable enough to be your team's superstar level player, the guy who you can count on in tight situations, the guy you can count on to have a really good game, a guy that you know is going to go out and play his best every single night. And they just swept the Denver Nuggets. That is a very amazing accomplishment. I mean, yes, we all know the Denver Nuggets, they didn't have Jamal Murray on this team, and This series could have been completely different if Jamal Murray's here. It would have been a much closer series, but I still believe that the Phoenix Suns had a pretty high chance of still winning that series. And it's crazy enough to say now that the Phoenix Suns have a possibility of possibly making it to the NBA Finals. I never thought I would be saying that forever, that the Phoenix Suns out of all teams are making it to the conference finals and possibly to the NBA Finals. And while for Devin Booker as well, he's still only 24 years old. Not to mention, you still have DeAndre Ayton, who's still young. You have Mikal Bridges, who's still young. Cameron Johnson is still young. All of these guys are developing. They haven't even reached their ceiling yet. So for this Phoenix Suns team, they have a very bright future ahead of them. Not only that, but Devin Booker is definitely going to be a guy who's going to be one of the best players in the NBA. And I believe one day he can possibly win MVP. He's not even in his prime yet, and he's still growing as a player. He's still getting better each and every season. And all this experience that he's gaining now, going to the playoffs, going to the conference finals in your first year in the playoffs, that's a remarkable accomplishment. Looking at the future of the Phoenix Suns, even if they don't decide to re-sign Chris Paul or he decides to just leave himself, but I really doubt that. I still think he'll probably stay on this team. The Phoenix Suns are still going to have a very bright future ahead of them. They've gained more experience now, and their young core is still developing, and they still have veteran mixed players as well on the roster as well to still be a successful team. Overall, Devin Booker, he has finally made the Phoenix Suns not a laughingstock anymore. This team, as we all know, was the laughingstock of the league for a long time, just like some other teams as well. But this team right here was definitely a team that many people were saying would never really take that next step. But the Phoenix Suns, they make really good decisions in the NBA draft and trading for good players to fit in this roster as well. And now look at them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.